200 years ago, bighorn sheep were widespread throughout the western United States, Canada, and northern Mexico. The population was estimated to be 150,000 to 200,000. Unregulated hunting, habitat destruction, overgrazing of rangelands, and diseases contracted from domestic livestock all contributed to the decline, the most drastic occurring from about 1870 through 1950. In 1936, the Arizona Boy Scouts mounted a statewide campaign to save the bighorn sheep. The Scouts first became interested in the sheep through the efforts of Major Frederick Russell Burnham. Burnham observed that fewer than 150 of these sheep still lived in the Arizona mountains. The National Wildlife Federation, the Isaac Walton League, and the National Audubon Society also joined the effort. On January 18, 1939, over 600,000 hectares, 1,500,000 acres, of land were set aside to create the Cofa National Wildlife Refuge and the Cabeza Prieta National Wildlife Refuge. Restoration of bighorn sheep has been pursued actively by many state and federal agencies since the 1940s, although these efforts have met with only limited success, and most of the historical range of bighorns remains unoccupied. Hunting for male bighorn sheep is allowed, but heavily regulated, in Canada and the United States. Bighorn sheep were among the most admired animals of the Apsaluka Crow people, and what is today called the Bighorn Mountain Range was central to the Apsaluka tribal lands. In the Bighorn Canyon National Recreation Area book, storyteller Old Coyote describes a legend related to the bighorn sheep. A man possessed by evil spirits attempts to kill his heir by pushing the young man over a cliff, but the victim is saved by getting caught in trees. Rescued by bighorn sheep, the man takes the name of their leader, Big Metal. The other sheep grant him power, wisdom, sharp eyes, sure-footedness, keen ears, great strength, and a strong heart. Big Metal returns to his people with the message that the Apsaluka people will survive only so long as the river winding out of the mountains is known as the Bighorn River. Bighorn sheep are hunted for their meat and horns, which are used in ceremonies, as food, and as hunting trophies. They also serve as a source of ecotourism, as tourists come to see the bighorn sheep in their native habitat. The Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep is the provincial mammal of Alberta and the state animal of Colorado, and as such is incorporated into the symbol for the Colorado Division of Parks and Wildlife. The desert bighorn sheep is the state mammal of Nevada. The bighorn sheep was featured in the children's book Buford the Little Bighorn, 1967, by Bill Peet. The bighorn sheep named Buford has a huge pair of horns in the spring, summer, fall and winter, similar to Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. Bighorn sheep were once known by the scientific identification, Argali, or Argalia, due to assumption that they were the same animal as the Asiatic Argali ovis ammon. Lewis and Clark recorded numerous sightings of O. canadensis in the journals of their exploration, sometimes using the name Argalia. In addition, they recorded the use of bighorn sheep horns by the Shoshone in making composite bows. William Clark's track map produced after the expedition in 1814 indicated a tributary of the Yellowstone River named Argalia Creek and a tributary of the Missouri River named Argalia River, both in what is today Montana. Neither of these tributaries retained these names, however. The Bighorn River, another tributary of the Yellowstone, and its tributary stream, the Little Bighorn River, were both indicated on Clark's map and did retain their names, the latter being the namesake of the Battle of the Little Bighorn. The Rocky Mountains and Sierra Nevada bighorn sheep occupy the cooler mountainous regions of Canada and the United States. In contrast, the desert bighorn sheep subspecies are indigenous to the hot desert ecosystems of the southwestern United States and Mexico. Bighorn sheep generally inhabit alpine meadows, grassy mountain slopes, and foothill country near rugged, rocky cliffs and bluffs. Since bighorn sheep cannot move through deep snow, they prefer drier slopes, where the annual snowfall is less than about 150 centimeters, 60 in per year. A bighorn's winter range usually lies at lower elevations than its summer range. Bighorn sheep are highly susceptible to certain diseases carried by domestic sheep, such as seroptic scabies and pneumonia. Additional mortality occurs as a result of accidents involving rock falls or falling off cliffs, a hazard of living in steep, rugged terrain. Bighorns are well adapted to climbing steep terrain, where they seek cover from predators. Predation primarily occurs with lambs, which are hunted by coyotes, bobcats, gray foxes, wolverines, jaguars, ocelots, lynxes, and golden eagles. Bighorn sheep of all ages are threatened by black bears, grizzly bears, wolves, and especially mountain lions, which are perhaps best equipped with the agility to prey on them in uneven, rocky habitats. Fire suppression techniques may limit visibility through shrublands, and therefore increase cover and predation rates by mountain lions. Bighorn sheep are considered good indicators of land health because the species is sensitive to many human-induced environmental problems. In addition to their aesthetic value, bighorn sheep are considered desirable game animals by hunters. Bighorn sheep graze on grasses and browse shrubs, particularly in fall and winter, and seek minerals at natural salt licks. Females tend to forage and walk, possibly to avoid predators and protect lambs, while males tend to eat and then rest and ruminate, which lends to more effective digestion and greater increase in body size. Bighorn sheep live in large herds, and do not typically follow a single leader ram, unlike the mouflon, the ancestor of the domestic sheep, which has a strict dominance hierarchy. Prior to the mating season or rut, the rams attempt to establish a dominance hierarchy to determine access to use for mating. During the prarit period, most of the characteristic horn clashing occurs between rams, although this behavior may occur to a limited extent throughout the year. Bighorn sheep exhibit agonistic behavior. Two competitors walk away from each other and then turn to face each other before jumping and lunging into headbutts. Rams' horns can frequently exhibit damage from repeated clashes. Females exhibit a stable, nonlinear hierarchy that correlates with age. Females may fight for high social status when they are integrated into the hierarchy at 1 to 2 years of age. Rocky Mountain bighorn rams employ at least 3 different courting strategies. The most common and successful is the tending strategy, in which a ram follows and defends an estrus ewe. Tending takes considerable strength and vigilance, and ewes are most receptive to tending males, presumably feeling they are the most fit. Another tactic is coursing, which is when rams fight for an already tended ewe. Ewes typically avoid coursing males, so the strategy is not effective. Rams also employ a blocking strategy. They prevent a ewe from accessing tending areas before she even goes into estrus. Bighorn ewes have a 6-month gestation. In temperate climates, the peak of the rut occurs in November with 1, or rarely 2, lambs being born in May. Most births occur in the first 2 weeks of the lambing period. Pregnant ewes of the Rocky Mountains migrate to alpine areas in spring, presumably to give birth in areas safer from predation, but are away from areas with good quality forage. Lambs born earlier in the season are more likely to survive than lambs born later. Lambs born late may not have access to sufficient milk, as their mothers are lactating at a time when food quality is lower. Newborn lambs weigh from 3.6 to 4.5 kilograms, 8 to 10 pounds, and can walk within hours. The lambs are then weaned when they reach 4 to 6 months old. The lifespan of ewes is typically 10 to 14 years, and 9 to 12 years for rams. The bighorn sheep is a species of sheep native to North America. It is named for its large horns. A pair of horns might weigh up to 14 kilograms, 30 pounds. The sheep typically weigh up to 143 kilograms, 315 pounds. Recent genetic testing indicates 3 distinct subspecies of Ovis canadensis, one of which is endangered. O.C. Sierra. Sheep originally crossed to North America over the Bering Land Bridge from Siberia. The population in North America peaked in the millions, and the bighorn sheep entered into the mythology of Native Americans. By 1900, the population had crashed to several thousand, due to diseases introduced through European livestock and overhunting. Bighorn sheep are named for the large, curved horns borne by the rams' males. Ewes' females also have horns, but they are shorter with less curvature. They range in color from light brown to grayish or dark, chocolate brown, with a white rump and lining on the backs of all 4 legs. Males typically weigh 58 to 143 kg, 128 to 315 lb, are 90 to 105 cm, 35 to 41 in tall at the shoulder, and 1.6-1.85 meters, 63 to 73 in long from the nose to the tail. Females are typically 34 to 91 kg, 75 to 201 lb, 75 to 90 cm, 30 to 35 in tall, and 1.28-1.58 meters, 50 to 62 in long. Male bighorn sheep have large horn cores, enlarged corneal and frontal sinuses, and internal bony septa. These adaptations serve to protect the brain by absorbing the impact of clashes. Bighorn sheep have preorbital glands on the anterior corner of each eye, inguinal glands in the groin, and pedal glands on each foot. Secretions from these glands may support dominance behaviors. Bighorns from the Rocky Mountains are relatively large, with males that occasionally exceed 230 kilograms, 500 pounds, and females that exceed 90 kilograms, 200 pounds. In contrast, Sierra Nevada Bighorn males weigh up to only 90 kilograms, 198 pounds, and females to 60 kilograms, 132 pounds. Males' horns can weigh up to 14 kilograms, 30 pounds, as much as all the bones in the male's body.